Dr. Sanjay Kumar Panda is working as assistant professor in Department of CAC at NIT Warangal. He worked as an assistant professor and head of department CAC at IITDM Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. Also worked as assistant professor in Department of IT at VSSUT Burla. He received PhD degree from IIT ISM Dhanbad, Jharkhand, MTech degree from NIT Rourkela, and BTech degree from VSSUT Burla, Odisha, in CAC. He has 8+ years of teaching and research experience. He received 20 plus awards from IEEE, IE, ISTE, CSI, and others, which includes 2 silver medal awards for the best graduate and best postgraduate in CSE. IEEE senior member and CSI ACM distinguished speaker. He has published 100 plus papers in reputed journals and conferences. He is a member of IEEE, IE, life member of ISTE, and life member of CSI. His current research interests including cloud computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Internet of Things. He delivered 100 plus invited talks and chaired sessions in many national and international conferences. He has guided 20 plus BTech students, 10 plus MTech and MPhil scholars, guiding 5 plus PhD scholars. He acted as a reviewer in many reputed journals of IEEE, ACM, Springler, and Hindawi, and many reputed conferences. He also served as guest editor in many international journals. This is very brief introduction about today's speaker. Now I request Dr. Sanjay Kumar Panda sir to continue with the session. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, Nidhi madam, for introducing me. It is not a short introduction, it is a long introduction actually. Okay, anyhow. So I know it is a very difficult for our participant to listen to two sessions of 1.5 hours each. But I have little bit changed my session. Like I'll show you some of the videos, so which makes this session little bit interesting rather than go for the theoretical aspect. So in this session, we'll discuss about the Internet of Things application in a specific field that is called as agriculture. You know that agriculture is a very important sector, and every human being require food to sustain in the world. So that is depend upon the agriculture sector. So we have to see that how we can increase the productivity, okay, so that we can meet the food demand, right? That is the objective of this particular session. So these are some of the outlines of my presentation. First, I'll show you some of the fact related to various organizations. Like I'll tell you about the statistics given by Gartner, as well as the statistics given by agriculture IoT market for the upcoming years. And with respect to the research aspect as well as search perspective, we'll see what are the statistics given by the Google Trends. Then we'll focus more on the agriculture sector, and we'll see how we are going to use the Internet of Things in agriculture sector. Basically, we are going to focus why we need IoT, or is there any other technology that need to be integrated with IoT to develop various product or develop the various devices for agriculture, or you can say to increase the productivity in the agriculture sector. That we'll see. And we'll see 3 different problems related to IoT. That is nothing but crop water management, precision agriculture, and predators management. Okay, these are the 3 different problems in which you can use the simple sensors to solve the problem, right? Then we'll see the future of agriculture. you have to see that the future of agriculture is relying on various technology, not limited to IoT. So here I'll tell you 10 different technology that are required along with the IoT, means including IoT, you can say excluding IoT, we have 9 other technologies that are required for increasing the productivity of agriculture sector. Then I'll tell you about some of the applications the farmers can use to get the details about the mandi price, or you can say they can get the details about which crop is suitable in which season and what are the statistics given by various analysts. Then I'll show you some of the devices that is ready-made available through which you can these devices you can use in the agriculture sector, and farmer can get the details about their agriculture land by sitting in their home, followed by the conclusion and references. So let us start the main motivation behind why we need IoT in the agriculture sector. So here I am showing you a very famous cycle that is called as a hype cycle. It is actually launched by Gartner twice in a year, and I am showing you the latest hype cycle that is available in open source, that is July 2020. Although July 2021 hype cycle is there, but it is not available in the public domain. That's why I'm showing you the hype cycle for Internet of Things in 2020. What this hype cycle is actually doing, this hype cycle is generated time versus expectations. That means over a period of time, what you can expect from a particular technology, right? You can see a lot of technologies are written in this hype cycle, and they are represented in the form of various colored dots or triangle. And the meaning of these dots and triangle is that the plateau of that particular technology or the technology is going to be obsolete after how many years. Okay, so you can see if there is a white dot, it indicates that the technology's plateau is going to reach in less than 2 years. If this colored dot, then it is 2 to 5 years. If this colored dot, then it is 5 to 10 years. If this triangle, then more than 10 years. And if there is a cross mark, that indicates that the absolute before plateau. So you can see various technologies are given in this hype cycle. Especially if you see these technologies, some technologies are there in the innovation trigger. Innovation trigger means that technology is completely new. Gradually, the technology can be applied in various applications. So sometimes the technology may go to the peak period, like today IoT, industrial IoT, Industry 4.0, these are the very popular terms and widely used. And after some time, a new technology is going to replace that technology. One of the example you can say that today we are not using the handsets, right, which do not have internet connectivity, because the smartphone has replaced that phone. Although few people are using, but they are not able to connect to the internet. They don't have any specific application for a particular domain, okay, or they don't have any social networking applications. A lot of limitation is there. And gradually the technology is going to reach in the phase of plateau, that is going to be replaced with the new technology. So why I am showing you this one, here you can focus on IoT in IoT services, or you can see IoT healthcare, or you can see IoT enabled a product as a service, or IoT enabled applications. So if you see, these are the very primary factors or the research areas where you can focus on, right? That how you can develop a particular device which is cheaper and can fulfill the requirement of the farmers. That is our objective here. Let us focus on this technology in more details. Prior to that, I want to show you that if you go for driving automation, like earlier cars, we don't have any automation, but gradually we want to automate everything. Like today we have gearless car, right? Similarly, we want to develop, maybe after 2-3 decades, we may have a driverless car. So if you see this driving automation, right? This driving automation is divided into 6 different levels, starting from level 0 to level 5, where level 0 focus on no automation. No automation means you require fully assisted by the driver. Driver has to do everything. Another thing, in the level 5, we have full automations. Driver will not do anything. Only the car is going to carry the passenger, right? But if you see the phases, like you can see level 1 or level 2, level 3, level 4, these are in between the no automation to the full automation. So till now we have reached to the level number 3, in which we have conditional automation. Conditional automation says that if a particular condition is satisfied, just like we are writing a if then clause, if that particular condition is satisfied, then the corresponding action is going to be executed. Okay, and here the vehicle can perform most of the driving task, but still human intervention is required in some places. But when you go for full automation, then we don't require any assistance of the driver. Okay, simply you have to put the destination address, or you can speak through Google Assistant that I want to go to this particular place, and based upon your current location, it is going to find a path from your location to the destination, and you will go through that particular path, right? Now let us see closely to this hype cycle, right? These are the technologies that are there in the rise phase. Okay, or you can say in the Gartner hype cycle, if you see, these are all technologies are in the rise phase, right? So what are the technologies? The first technology is master data management of thing data. Like if you go for a particular organization, right? In organization, they want to apply some information technology or information communication technology to make transparency in their system, or make something uniform, that is called as standardization, or increase the accuracy of the system, or the better accountability. They are using integration of the business with IT. That is going to be provided by this master data management. And you know, IoT devices are generating different type of data. These data are not in a structured form. So you require the integration of these two to manage everything. Similarly, we have governance of digital twin. Digital twin says that it is going to merge two things, living thing with non-living thing. For example, you have developed a product, right? Like you may heard about 3D printing, right? You have to design the model, then automatically it is going to draw that particular model, and small devices are generated in the lab, right? In the similar fashion, digital twin says that it is a digital replica of living and non-living physical entity. So if you design a particular model, as many number of product you require, or quantity of the product is required, that can be possible with the machines, right? Similarly, we require IoT enabled product as a service, which will help you to build some product which can be helpful for agriculture sector, which may be helpful for healthcare sector, which can be used for education system, and so on. Okay. Similarly, we have digital twin of the person, that is nothing a virtual mirror of the real thing. Like a human being can develop a product, in the similar fashion, the machine can also create a particular product with a certain instructions, with a certain modeling of the instruments, right? Next is things as a customer. Here we want to focus on the supply chain management. So you know, in supply chain management, starting from the raw material to the finished product, you have a lot of steps. You have supplier, you have manufacturer, you have wholesaler, you have retailer. So these relationships can be, you can see the relationship between these things and communication these things, where you can consider each and everything as a customer. That establishes the relationship, supply chain management relationships. Similarly, information products and blockchain and IoT. You have seen in the previous session, the speakers spoke about blockchain and IoT, right? This is also in the right space. Coming to the peak phase, right? That is not the, you can say rise phase is nothing but our innovation trigger, but peak phase, that technology is maybe new in the market, but it is adopted in various applications. The very first one is IT, OT, ET alignment. It says that information technology, operational technology, and edge technology alignment. Through this, what will happen? Again, it is the integration of business with IT to go for a proper standard, proper policies, proper tools and processes, and make the staffs familiar with such environment. Similarly, you can see IoT enabled application is also in the peak page. Edge analytics, like today we are using smartphones, right? Or we are using digital watch, smartwatch, right? Through this smartwatch, what you are doing, you are collecting the informations, and these informations are processed very short duration, right? Like it will say you after sensing for 30 seconds what is your body temperature, or after sensing 30 it will say you what is your average heart rate. Okay, that is possible because everything you cannot send from IoT to the cloud, because IoT and cloud, if you see, there is a huge gap, right? Cloud is very far away from the cloud. That's why we require edge devices, like you can say switch, or you can say node, or device, or sensor, which can collect the data and process, capability to process this data to give a statistics. Similarly, another emerging area related to IoT that is going to come, that is called as digital thread. So digital thread is providing you a communication framework. Okay, through that, like thread in operating system we have studied is a lightweight process, right? Or in the multi-thread environment, we have seen the threads are going to be executed parallel. In the similar fashion, the quantity of the products can be developed parallel. It signifies the digitization and traceability throughout the product's lifespan, starting from, as I said, raw material to, you can say, the finished product. Now coming to the peak phase, okay. Okay, previous one is the at the peak. There are some other technologies are there in the peak phase, like digital business technology platform, indoor location of the people tracking. Like imagine there is another topic called Internet of Meat, right? Internet of Meat. What it says, if we can inject some kind of sensors to the human body, right, and the sensor is capable enough to locate the where that particular person is, then definitely you can track any person. If a person is missing and you know there is a sensor injected inside the body, then definitely we can locate that particular person. Similarly, in a particular location, right, like if you can say warehouse kind of thing, in warehouse, if any person is moving, let's say in odd hours where the warehouse is closed or warehouse is not used in the night time, in that time if you found some person is moving, that you can easily capture through the sensors, right? Similarly, as I mentioned, IoT healthcare, IoT services, model based system engineering, these all are in the peak phase. Now here you can see the areas that you need to connect in the digital thread, starting from the product design to let's say up to the inspections, or you can say in between you have development process, testing process, implementations, right? These all need to be connected to each other to provide as a digital thread. So here you can see we have two things, like you have represented this one yellow color one to represent the process and white color one to represent the output. Okay, so when you go for a product design, and that product design is going to provide you the product definition, right? First, it is very much important to identify a particular product and what is the problem of that particular product, what kind of problems can be solved using that particular product. Then it will be sent to inspection, test and planning, whether it is feasible or not. The feasibility study has to done, and based upon that the inspection test definition is going to be out. Similarly, it is going to be given input to the production process planning to develop that particular product, and finally you are going to execute this particular product. Now coming to the next one, that is sliding from into the through or the fail to deliver, which is just sliding from the peak phase, you can say. That means the technology that is going to we are expecting something from that particular technology, but that technology is not able to provide such type of service. Like till now people assume that we'll reach to driving level 4, right? Driving level 4, which I show you, but till now it is not possible to reach to level 4 due to some problems, right? Or due to the emerging of that particular technology is not that much to reach to the level 4. So the technologies are failed to deliver some services like IoT security. Till now, whatever expectation is there, that is not delivered by IoT security, digital twin, event stream processing, IoT edge architecture, IoT platform, autonomous vehicle. As I said, we reached to level 3, but level 4, which is the expectation which we have not, and simple term IoT, right? What is expected from IoT technology that is not able to deliver, right? So sometimes this prediction is failed, right? Sometimes we predict that it will take 2-3 years, but it may take more than that also. Now coming to the climbing scope. So here you can see the asset performance management. You know, whenever you are developing a particular product, you have to be concentrate on various things. Like refrigerator we want to inject some kind of sensor into the refrigerator. We have oven, right? Oven, and that oven is also having some kind of sensor. We have induction is also having some type of sensor, right? You can put some sensors, so based upon the heat or based upon some other criteria, it is going to switch on or switch off that particular device, right? Similarly, here you can see managed IoT connectivity services, IoT integrations. They are climbing the scope because they are already obsolete. Right? As I said, Internet of Meat. That means the technology is going to install, okay, or the sensors inside the human body. Okay, this is all about the Gartner hype cycle. Just I want to show you what are the different areas we have in IoT that you can focus. But as I said, we'll more focus on agriculture sector. That is nothing but IoT enabled applications or product as a service in IoT. And how we'll see what are the different sensors or devices that are used in the agriculture sector. Coming to another statistics by Gartner. Gartner mentioned that suppose a particular person is going to institute or his workplace, right? So what we are carrying, the person is carrying a bag, right? That bag consists of, you can say, laptop. The bag consists of a watch, right? Or he or she can wear a watch, or the bag consists of a water bottle, right? And a lot of things, right? These we are using in our day-to-day work, okay? And we are bringing this thing to our workplace, right? So Gartner says that by 2023, the 30% of the IT organizations, they are going to change their mode from bring your own device to bring your own enhancement. Try to understand what I want to say you. We have to change from BYOD made to BYOE. So let us understand what is BYOD. BYOD is nothing but the device you carry to your workplace, right? It may be a phone, it may be a personal computer like laptop, it may be a watch, or it may be anything which is having sensing capability, or the devices that you are using in your workplace. But what BYOE is going to do, that is bring your own enhancement. Like you are wearing your glasses, right? Or we can say augmented reality glasses. AR, VR facility is there, so through which you can do something. You are wearing shorts, pants, right? And that shorts and pants are having various buttons. The buttons may have some kind of sensors, and these sensors can help us to do some kind of computation or sense something which can be done by your devices that you are carrying. The same thing can be possible by these devices. Similarly, we have smartwatches, right? Nowadays we are using smartwatches. These smartwatches are periodically sensing the various things related to a person, and it is displaying that. You are able to receive a phone call through this smartwatch also, right? So we have to see that how we are going to change this device to the enhancements, so that nobody is going to carry anything. Like I told you, in order to locate a particular person, today we may use GPS system, right? Or we are locating that person through GPS, or through we can say share the location, right? If we have some kind of Internet of Thing meet type of concept, then definitely we don't require to go for this GPS, right? It is the device is having that capability. Automatically, it is going to locate a particular person. Now, coming to this agriculture IoT market. So here I am showing you the statistics from 2016 to 2024. So obviously 2024 is a prediction, and this prediction is done by considering various regions, like people have considered America, people have considered Europe, people have considered Asia Pacific region, and people have also considered the rest of the world, right? So they want to know what is the revenue of agriculture IoT market. This prediction is related to your agriculture IoT market revenue. So if you see in 2019, it is 12.7 billion US dollar. It is the revenue, but we expect to reach 20.9 billion US dollar by 2024. So you can see there is a huge gap between 12.7 billion to 20.9 billion. Is a very huge gap, right? Similarly, you can see which region is having the maximum development. So you can compare this 2019 with the 2024. You will see obviously all part of the world is going to increase. That's why we are getting a very big figure. But you will see maximum case we are getting in the case of America. This is with respect to the market, right? So if you compare the maximum revenue gain, it may happen in the America, followed by Europe, followed by Asia Pacific region, in the rest of the world. Similarly, agriculture IoT market also predict with respect to considering various things, like what kind of application is applicable for agriculture, what kind of system is there in the agriculture sector. Like here you can see, I am showing you the prediction of again 2018 to 2025 by considering various systems. What are the systems we have? We have automation and control system, right? Automation will give you that many people are engaged in the manual work, right? So we want many things to be done automatically, right? We don't need, you can say, we don't require manual work, right? We want to automate this, right? So that we can control the things without any intervention of the human beings. Similarly, there is another system that is called as sensing and monitoring devices. In IoT, we have various kind of sensors, and we have actuators also, right? And these sensors and actuators, through this we can develop a device, and the device is capable enough to take a decision based upon the input given by various analysts, right? Like you can say, once you are reaching to this particular threshold, you switch on this thing. If it is below this threshold, you switch on this thing, right? You can decide that one. Similarly, there are many kettles, or you can say many animals are involved in the agriculture sector, right? So I want to monitor, right, their health status. How I am going to do? It is not possible if in agriculture sector 100 animals are there. It is very difficult for any person to observe the health of these 100 animals or kettles. So what we will do? We will use some hardware, and these hardwares may be fixed in the ear, or you can say in the neck of that particular animal, and people can get the status of that particular animal. Like I want to know the pH value, or I want to know what is the health status, especially to the animal, that can be get. Or you can say that we'll say that if an animal is sick, a alarm is going to be generated, or you will get an alert message. So through which you can monitor the health of the animals. Similarly, there is also a very important area that is called as fish farming. Starting from a fisherman boat to, you can say, a fish market. You do not know, when you purchase a particular fish, you don't have any idea that when it was caught, okay, and how many days it is from the fisherman boat to fishing, right? Fish or fish market, right? So we need a particular hardware to identify that, right? Similarly, we have smart greenhouse hardware. We have to keep all the things in a warehouse, right? Warehouse monitoring is required, and smart greenhouse is also required. For that also we require some hardware. Similarly, we have software units, because everything is going to be monitored in a software. Like we are using applications, right? through these applications, the applications are connected to your devices of your home, and through this application you can switch off or switch on that particular devices, right? So if you see in 2018, which system is having highest growth, you can see software. If you see the bottom line, then software is leading among others. And 2025 also, you can see it is predicted that software segment is going to dominate IoT in agriculture market. Followed by, if you see the second position is our sensing and monitoring device. And for that, you require IoT devices, right? And they are interconnections. Now I am showing you another statistics with respect to various applications. So there are different areas in which you can work or you can write project if you are interested to work in the agriculture sector. So first one is called as precision farming. Okay. So we have to see that what are the devices available now, right? How you are going to build the device in a less cost, okay? And using that devices, how we are going to increase the productivity. Okay, if we can increase the productivity of agriculture land, definitely it is going to meet the food demand. Similarly, livestock monitoring is another application. Smart greenhouse is another application, and fish farm monitoring is application. But out of these applications, precision egg farming is leading in 2018 as well as in 2025. It is predicted that it is going to dominate the IoT in agriculture market, right? So you can choose any area like precision farming or livestock monitoring. You can design or develop the devices which can monitor the health status of a animal. Like in our home, we have elders, right? So it is very difficult to monitor their health status, right, in 24/7. So if we can design a device or develop a device which can monitor if there is sudden change in some parameter, then we can easily identify that, right? Suppose somebody's heart rate is below a particular threshold, like in oxygen level in the COVID situation, government also suggested that if it is above 90, then it is okay. But if it is below 90, you have to be taken care, right? So such things you can easily identify through various devices. Now coming to the compound annual growth rate. I told you one picture by showing different regions and their growth in the agriculture sector. Here I am showing you the statistics, right? That which part of the world is going to be highest compound annual growth rate by 2025. So again, here you can see I have divided the whole world map into 4 parts. That is Latin America, Middle East and Africa, which we call as LAMEA, right? That is LA stands for Latin America, okay, Middle East, and another is Africa, right? And we have taken another region as North America, another region as Europe, another region is Asia Pacific. So if you see this, then you will see that highest growth rate you are getting in the Asia Pacific region, in which our country is there, right? And we are expected to reach 16.4% CAGR rate by 2025. So there is a huge scope in our region. If you design some devices and you can sell to the market, right? Then definitely, if it is cheaper and it is providing better accuracy, then people are going to use that particular devices. Now you can see if you go for Google, right, to search this word IoT in agriculture, to know the search query generated in a particular region, right? You can go to Google Trend, you can select IoT in agriculture as a search term. Means I want to show you how many people are searching IoT in agriculture, right? Over a period of time, not how many people, it is showing out of 100 over a particular period, that how many search queries are generated. So here you can see we have selected all over the world, and we are selected here 2004 to present. You can select a particular year, you can select a particular region as well. You will find a graph like this. So you can say after 2014, you will see there is a although there is ups and downs are there, but the search query is generated with respect to this keyword, that is IoT in agriculture, is increased. Now I may ask you, in which country you are getting the maximum search query. That status also you can get in Google Trend. For example, here you can see India is in the very first position, having highest search query. Okay, obviously the highest one is always calculated from 100. You can see the highest peak is achieved here around in the January month of 2020. It is always we considered as 100. So based upon that, other values are scaled. Now similarly, you can see South Africa is in the second position, having index value of 56. United States, the very popular country, okay, having index value of only 4. So maximum search query is generated from our country only. So it doesn't mean that we are developing a lot of products for agriculture sector, but people have interest to know about the IoT in agriculture sector. Now I'll show you the status of various topics and their related queries. If you see in all over the world, people are searching some of the topics related to IoT in agriculture, like they are searching Internet of Things, they search agriculture, they search computer applications, where they are actually, I told you, like software is going to dominate, right? So they also search what kind of softwares are required to develop IoT applications, right? And e-agriculture, another is India, the country in South Asia. Okay, these are the popular topics coming in with respect to IoT in agriculture. Similarly, you can see in the Indian context, what is the status? Here you can change the whole worldwide to India to see the status. Again, you can see the search queries having up and downs after 2014, but you can see it is growing in comparison to 2014. You can also get the status in which state of India you are getting the maximum search query related to IoT in agriculture. So you can find that Tamil Nadu is in the first position, having index of 100, obviously, and followed by Andhra Pradesh, followed by Karnataka, followed by Telangana, and followed by Maharashtra. So these are the 5 states where maximum search query is generated. This is not nowhere related to your productivity. So maybe a lot of research is done in these fields, or a lot of people are working in IoT in agriculture related research. Okay, so maximum search query is generated in these 5 states. Similarly, topics you can see here: Internet of Things, agriculture, computer application, e-agriculture, sensors. So these all are more or less same in the worldwide context. And you can see people are posting a lot of queries related to IoT project, especially if you see our BTech students, right? If you tell them to implement something, right, then they will see that how they are going to implement using Python, or you can implement using R programming, right? A lot of programming language in which they are comfortable, they are going to posting the queries in the various forums. Similarly, if you see, there is another term called as smart farming. Right? It is a very popular smart farming, e-agriculture. Nowadays, people are looking for that. And in whole over world, you can see the search query is drastically increased in comparison to the search query which is there prior to 2014 or 15. And these are the countries where the smart farming having search query most, right? Not, you can see in the top 5 list, our country is not there, right? So Kenya is a country where the maximum search query is generated related to, you can say, smart farming, followed by Malaysia, followed by Nigeria, followed by South Korea, and followed by Thailand. India's search index is very low in comparison to the smart farming. Now these are the topics and queries people are searching, like people are posting queries related to smart farm, smart farming system, what is smart farming, and smart farming in India, smart dairy farming. Okay, so these are the popular queries people are posting in various forums to know about the agriculture market, right? Okay, so now you can see this is the summary of these motivations. So if you see a very nice article that I am going to share you after end of this talk, there is a statistics given by international labor organizations. These statistics I am showing you here. So As per ILO, that is International Labour Organizations, they mentioned that in all over the world, more than 500 million smallholder farms are there. And these farms are producing the food which is going to be circulated all over the world. Sometimes we export, sometimes we import, right? So total people involved in the sector is nothing but total in the sector of this food production is more than 500 million smallholder farms. Okay. Some other statistics you can see here as per ILO. They mentioned that over 1 billion people globally are engaged in the field of agriculture. So it looks it's a very big number. 1 billion is a very big number. But this number is declining even though the demand for agricultural crops is expected to double. Why? Because the world population is going to reach 9.1 billion by 2050. So although we are going to increase the productivity, but if you compare the productivity with respect to the world population, okay, you will see it is very difficult to meet the food demand. Okay, you can say also nowadays also farmer have no they are not relying on the historical calendar or the knowledge given by various analysts, because these analysts are these things are going to be failed when you go for real analysis, right? You are saying there is no rain, but suddenly there is a rain. When you say that you may use this particular crop in this field, but the predator pest may damage it, right? So as the population is going to be increased to a larger extent by 2050, so we have to take care that how we are going to increase the productivity using various technologies. And in the statistics you can see here, the ubiquity of mobile phones has the potential to change the face of farming in Africa. Because nowadays the smartphones or the normal phones, they are available in very less cost, right? Which a farmer can afford, right? So if they are using these mobile phones and they can get text messages, they can be involved in a group, they can get video calls, they can see the videos shared by a specialist. So if they are going to use this, then definitely we are going to increase the productivity in the agriculture sector. Now you can see the previous situation and I'm so comparing with the current situations. Like early days, if you see, farmers are cultivating the land, okay, then they sell vegetables, or you can say rice, or you can say other things, okay, to the agents, right? And agent is giving this to either through agent they are giving to the government, or they are directly giving to the government, or they are giving to the agent of various shopping malls. Like we have various shopping malls in our city, and we are purchasing rice, dal, and other things from the our shopping malls. So these shopping malls are attached to some agent, right? These agents are collecting the things from the farmer, and finally these things are provided to the customer through the shopping malls, right? So if you go for the digitization, then definitely we may go for a kind of portal. In that portal we have extension agent, right? We have farmer, we have service provider. So agent is not an intermediary. Sometimes agent is deputed by the government only, okay, for collecting the, you can say, crops, okay, or collecting various vegetables or various things from the farmer, right? But today, if you see, the scenario is changed. This digital farm data is there, like our previous situations, but now everybody is connected to digital farm data. Farmer is connected, service provider is connected, extension agent is connected. In addition to that, we have the data of the sensors as well. Several sensors are deployed in various places, okay? So from which we can collect the data? We can collect the data from satellite, we can collect the data through the mobile phone, you can collect the data through the drones, which is called as UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, or you can say there is a driverless, right? Nobody is there. That is called as uncrewed aerial vehicle, through which also you can capture the images of the crops in agricultural land, and you can provide these pictures to the farmers and with the analyst to say that whether these crops are healthy or not. Similarly, weather reports can also be said with digital form. Government is also informing farmers that if there is any cyclone, if there is any flood. Similarly, plants and animals are connected to this also digital data, right? And through this application APIs, right? Through this application programming interface, you can connect with each others. Now, how you are going to solve the problems related to the farmer, right? Not only IoT based solution, I'm talking about the general solutions, right? You can see there are 3 steps, right? 3 different modes in which you can interact with the farmer to collect their problems. The very first one, if you see, that is calling earlier used to, that is called a survey. We'll conduct a survey. Based upon the survey, we will see that what is the conditions of the farmer, why they are suffering, right? Why the productivity is not increased. So that can be possible by survey. Okay. Later, people have used digital survey. Earlier, we are going for paper survey, right? Like we are collecting the feedback in our institute. We are collecting the feedback in a paper. Later, we are designing some kind of good interface like Google Form, and we are collecting the data. So this analysis is called as qualitative analysis. But later, we are going for mode 2, in which we are taking the help of the mobile phones. Okay, through mobile phones, you can send SMS, right? Or you can receive SMS, okay? Or sometimes when you call to your call agent, right? Or your mobile provider agent. So once the talk is over, they are asking you to rate what is your interaction with that particular person out of 1 to 5. Such types of things can happen. Or you can go for outbound dialing, or you can go for interactive voice response. Like whenever we are calling, sometimes it is saying press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, or press 3 for local languages, something like that. Okay, in that also you can collect. And through the advanced system like GPS and the transactions or phone usage also, you can collect the data. Or it may happen that the farmers can get the information by registering into a portal. The portal is going to suggest you something, or you may go for some kind of chatbots to solve the problems of the farmer, right? Nowadays, you know that number of customers are drastically increased for any particular website. So they are going for a good chatbots. The chatbot is giving you an option. Based upon the option, you are going to select some options, right? And correspondingly, it is going to tell you what is the solutions with respect to a particular problem. And another one is crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing is nothing but the people's involved in this process to collect the informations. Like I told you, agent. Sometimes they are doing this work for volunteer purpose. Sometimes they are using this for, you can say, paid basis as well, right? And now you can see in the third options, you do not require anything to collect it from the farmer. You can use sensors, you can use satellite, drones, weather, or various registry portals are there through which also you can collect the data if you do smart analysis, right? So no need to directly contact. You can use drones to capture the picture, and from the picture you can analyze some things about a particular location. So there is a very famous website that is called as www.brandba.se. So this website is used for the crowdsourcing. Okay, crowdsourcing is nothing but you are collecting the data from various sources, right? It may be with respect to various peoples involved in this process, or you are collecting the data from social media, or you are collecting the data from wikis, or many sectors you can collect this data. Now, if you see some of the interesting statistics, India is in the second position in the farm output, right? Our country is more rely on the agriculture sector, right? And 64% of the cultivated land depend upon the monsoon. Maximum times we depend upon the monsoon. Okay, if there is no rain, then farmer supports a lot, right? If there is no proper water supply, or you can say on the other hand, if you say if there is no sunlight, right, in some season, then definitely the farmer is going to suffer in that year, right? Or sometimes flood and cyclones are also affecting the productivity of the farmers, right? And irrigation accounts that 55% to 75% water usage in India. As we are relying on the water, right? Maximum things are generated using water, right? Like electricity also, you know, that hydropower, we are dependent on the water only, right? So 55 to 75% there is a water usage in India. So out of this water usage, 60% of the water is used in the irrigation is wasted. Why it is wasted? You can see that irrigation is telling 55 to 75% water usage is required, but out of this 60% is completely waste. Why it is? Because the season where water is not required, water is available, or when water is not required for a particular land, we are supplying the water, and sometimes we don't we have sufficient water at that time. Yes, you can say on the other hand that water is not required at that time, water is available, or sometimes we require water but water is not available, right? So this water requirement varies with respect to different seasons, right? So we'll see how we can apply some use or some kind of devices that is going to help us to solve the problems of this water wastage. One of the example you can see that is called a soil moisture sensor you can use, that is connected to a motor, right? And based upon the level of soil moisture, based upon the reading received from the soil moisture sensor, so we are going to switch on or switch off the motor, right, to supply the water or not to supply the water. Now, why we require IoT in agriculture, or is there any other technologies are also need to be integrated with IoT to solve the problems of agriculture? The first problem you can see, the way we spray fertilizer. Okay, you know, chemical fertilizers we are spraying in the crops to increase the productivity. Okay, but sometimes this is also very harmful to the body of the human being. Okay, and the type of food it generates, that is not a healthy food. And sometimes we require boosting the soil fertility, right? We have to see that how to go for the seeds, and such that any kind of pest cannot be damage that particular seed. So based on various analysis, we are going to do it. That is the second thing. Third is, you can see we have to prevent the loss. This loss may due to the over usage of water. This loss may be due to some theft also, or this is maybe due to, you can say that due to this pest or predators also, that we want to avoid. And we are using some machines to do that, right? We can use this machine, and you know, machine can work for 24/7, not an human being, right? So through these machines we can collect the vegetables, or we can spray the things, so that equal amount of fertilizer is going to be sprayed throughout the agriculture land. Similarly, you can see monitoring state and location form of the animals. I told you livestock monitoring is very much important. If the animals are sick, then there is a very problematic, right? So we have to see how we can do that. Similarly, tracking processing line equipment conditions, for that also IoT plays a very important role. So these are the three problems that we are going to discuss. But prior to that, let me show you a very small video related to this agriculture sector. Then we will continue.
Is one of the largest producers of various crops, but the crop yield is poor compared to other countries. This is due to lack of application of advanced farming practices, shortage of agricultural inputs, such as water, electricity, fertilizer, and labor, are adding to problem and farmers not getting consistent output. Avani Jal has been working on finding solution to some of these problems, and is introducing Nikash irrigation controller to help farmers automate some of these activities and achieve precision irrigation. Nikash automates the manual activities by 1. Monitoring electricity and water levels. 2. Controlling motors, valves, flush, fertigation system. Nikash provides the convenience of configuring and monitoring the device from a smartphone. Using a well-designed application, farmer can adopt precision irrigation based on time, volume, or sensor. Monitoring of electricity and water helps in protecting the motor from burning. Farmers can undertake continuous improvement of irrigation practices as Nikash logs all the irrigation data. Avani Jal can take this data, analyze them and provide inputs back to the farmers in readable and graphical way for them to take action. Nikash is well suited for irrigating cash crops, vegetables, fruits, flowers, plantation crops. It can be used to irrigate crops both in open farm and greenhouse. The controller can be powered from both AC mains or from solar panel. The controller can interface with the VFD.
Okay, so here you can see that what are the different types of problems and solutions related to our agriculture, right? So in order to go for smart farming, you need to solve the problems of various problems related to agriculture, right? So here you can see there are three important problems we are going to discuss. The first one is called as your crop water management, which I told you sometimes we are supplying more water, sometimes we don't have sufficient water. Second one is called as precision agriculture, which focuses on that how you are going to inbuilt some ICT, you can take the help of ICT devices to increase the productivity. It is also called as your satellite agriculture. It is also called as your site-specific crop management. Third one is predator management, that we'll see that even if some pests are there or some predators are there, how they are not going to damage the you can say damage the crops, right? Now you can see that there are many various types of pests are there, and what kind of chemicals we have to use so that they cannot be damage the crops, right? That is the predators management and control works. So coming to crop water management, you can see when you go for a manual process, a farmer generally pumps a water more or less in order to cultivate the land. Okay. So you can see in the first picture, you can see there is a sufficient water. In the second picture, we don't have sufficient water. So if you do it manually, then obviously the water wastage will be there, and the crops are not getting optimal water. So in order to avoid that, you can use this soil moisture sensor, and the cost of these sensors are also nowadays very low. And you can put a particular threshold value. You can say there is a lower threshold, okay, and there is a upper threshold, okay. And if the soil moisture level is above the threshold, then this action is going to be executed. And if it is below the threshold, then another action is going to be executed, right? And farmer can also get alert basis. I told you, no need to monitor it in the agriculture land. So if such devices are available in cheap price, farmer can purchase this device, or government can give these devices in the subsidy basis, and farmers can get the message in their mobile phones, right? So through which we can reduce the water usage in the agriculture land. Coming to the second one, which is called as precision agriculture, as I told you that you require farm management with IT. You have to integrate IT with farm management. What the benefit you are going to get? You have to see that the quality is going to be maintained. On the other end, the quantity is also sufficient to meet the food demand. So that is possible if both crop and soil are getting optimal health, right? So for that, you can go for, again, that take the help of sensors, like to know the moisture content, or you can see that soil moisture sensor is doing that, right? And also you can use various other technologies, like you can see drones, or you can say uncrewed aerial vehicle, or you can say unmanned aerial vehicle, or robots, right? So these can take the pictures and take care of these things. These pictures can be sent to the farmer as well as to the analyst, so that if there is any damage in the crop, or what are the prevention mechanisms or detection mechanisms is required, that can be done through these pictures, right? Real-time image is also provided by these drones or robots. The third problem is called as the predators management. You may heard about recently in the last year, there is a news related to locust attack, also called as your Pangapal attack, right? So these pests, what they are doing, they are destroying the vegetables or destroying the plants, or you can say destroying the fruits, right? So ultimately the farmer is going to face a lot of loss. Okay, the productivity is not good. So in that case, in order to detect the movement of these pests or predators, you can go for the PID sensor or PIR sensor. That is called as passive infrared sensors or passive uh, infrared detector sensor, right? So these sensors is if there is any movement in a particular field, like I told you in Gartner cycle also, there is an indoor application, right? In indoor application, if there is, you want to know that inside a particular building, if there is any movement which is not authorized in a particular period of time, or which is unusual in a particular period of time, that can be possible to detect. And once you find some kind of movement in a particular location, you can switch on an alarm, or you can switch on the light through a particular actuator. The actuator is going to switch on if there is a movement. And you can also sometimes you can use these drones and other things to capture the images of the pests, so that analyst will suggest what kind of chemicals or fertilizers is required to avoid that. And you can also see that it is going to reduce the damage done by the predators, right? Now here you can see the structure and principle of your IoT agriculture, right? You can see in the bottom layer we have a lot of sensors, like I told you about PID, PIR, soil moisture sensors. So these sensors are going to collect the data and send this data to the gateway, or sometimes we call it these are devices. It may be a hub, gateway, or router, right? Then subsequently these gateways are connected to a fixed network, or you can say it is a mobile network through internet. And finally the analysts are going to analyze, these experts are going to analyze whatever data is collected, whether it is a usual data or it is a unusual data. So if there is a drastic variations, they are going to locate it and trying to avoid that, right? So you can see a lot of applications like irrigation application, storage, you can say warehouse, okay, or traceability or anti-fake. That is, there are different kind of things are there that can be analyzed through a portal. You can design a portal, well-designed portal through which you can do it, right? This is one type of architecture, you can say. So what are the devices you are going to use? These are the different devices, actuators, and other devices you can use in the agriculture sector. If you talk about sensor, we have seen this sensor. In addition to that, light sensor, motion sensor, related to weather also, you may go for temperature, humidity, wind, or rain. Okay, the status you can collect through the sensors, and based upon that you can give instruction to the actuators. Actuator may be a pump, actuator may be a relay switch, it may be switch on, switch off based upon a particular conditions. Apart from that, RFID is also going to help you, because now many organizations are also using RFID card. Okay, whenever you are moving from one location to another location, or moving from one building to another building, it is possible to track a particular person, right? So these such tags can also be attached with animal to identify the animal and to monitor that animal, right? You can use camera, you can use UAV, you can use drones to perform that particular thing. And this is also one of the system you can see in the IoT. If you go for physical design, right? I told you about different layers in my very first lecture. I told you about the sensor layer, transport layer, okay, processing layer, application layer, and each and every layer is providing a set of facilities that you can take care to apply in the agriculture field. Like you can generate an alarm, right? You can say security alarm or fault alarm if there is any faulty device, or you are having some kind of fault in the system that can be easily identified. You can go for the surveillance system also, like we have CCTV. There are various surveillance systems are there that is connected, and through that you can also see the pictures of your agriculture land to know that whether the land is safe or it is unsafe also, because physical theft is also very much important. Because if you are deployed some IoT devices in a particular location, the device may be go for physical theft as well. Now here you can see a detailed picture. In the bottom layer we have various devices, and these devices communicate with each other. You can say that is machine to machine communication. Like a camera is connected to a, let's say, a hub, or you can say the data collected by various sensors that is connected to sensors is connected to various devices, right? Like router, gateway I told you. Then it will be connected to the, you can say, IoT perception layer through various network. You may go for 4G connection, 5G connections, or wireless or wire-based connections. Then finally it is applicable for various applications, let it be precision agriculture or smart farming or any other applications related to agriculture. And also many people are collecting this data to perform the things. Now for smart agriculture, you require all the things at the same time. You can think about the smart dairy, you can go for smart farming, you can go for cultivation. Through the robots also you can cultivate, you can harvest things, you can put the seeds in the equal distance. That can be done by the robots, as well by various tractors also. Smart tractors can also do these things. Now, not only IoT, apart from IoT, 9 other technologies I am listing here that is required if you want to implement anything related to the agriculture sector. So these are the 9 technologies that I want to discuss in the subsequent slides. Let us start with first one, that is called as vertical farming. So if you see some of the statistics, why we require vertical farming rather than going for horizontal farming. The way we are doing farming here in today's scenario, that is called as horizontal farming. Most people are dependent on horizontal farming. They are not focusing on vertical farming. So if you see the UN report, in the report it is mentioned that 8.5 billion is the world population by 2030. I also showed you statistics with respect to 2050. And if you see agriculture sector, although these many people, I told 1 billion people are engaged in the agriculture sector. So if you compare the population growth as well as the production growth, there is a huge gap between these two because the food production is more or less steady. So what is the suggestion? What is the moral of this particular statistics? That there is a discrepancy between availability and demand. So food demand and food availability, if you see, there is a big gap from 2020 to 2050. So another statistics you can see here, in 2050, the world populations, if you see, 66% of the population, they will reside in the urban area. Now foods are available, let it be vegetable or fruits or any thing that is available in the shopping malls, in the cities, because there is a surplus. Village area people are doing this and they are selling it because there is a surplus. But in the village area, you imagine if there is a scarcity of food, or the productions is going to be circulated in that village only to fulfill the food demand. It will not go outside the village. So there is a threat that by 2050, if the food production is not going to be improved, then people will again move from the urban area to the, or the city area to the, again to the village area, right? And you can see also 80% of the lands that is already used in the farming sector, and other lands, more or less 15 to 20%, they are not at all suitable for farming. Why they are not suitable? Because we have used some chemicals or we have used some pesticides. Because of that, you can see that it is not possible to increase the productivity, okay, or you cannot expect much from these lands. So this is the graph you can see. This is the curve I am showing from 2010 to 2050, and this is related to the population and this is related to the shortage, right? You can see there is a huge gap between the population and the way we are generating the food, okay, for the food productions. So there is a very, very, very big gap. And you can see the statistics here also. The world population by 2025 and 2050, in whole of the world, we have considered various cities. If you see, Mumbai is in the very first position in whole over the world, followed by Delhi, and you can find Kolkata is in the 5th position. Subsequently, you can find in the Chennai. So you can see the number of peoples, okay, or you can say the population growth, how they are going to be increased, especially out of this top 20 list, you can find 4 of the Indian cities are there in the top 20 list, right? So the population is going to be increased. That's why we have to think about the food production. So as a solution, we are going for vertical farming rather than moving towards horizontal farming. Nowadays, we are focusing on the vertical farming, but it is not that much in comparison to horizontal because of less of awareness, or you can say people are not, you can say they are not habituated with this system. So if you go for vertical farming, the advantages you are going to get, that is temperature is maintained properly, light requirement is also less, and you can monitor this thing in a very nice way in comparison to horizontal land. And another advantages you are going to get that you require less water in comparison to others. And nowadays also people are thinking about the soil-less farming without soil, right? So the other advantages you are going to get here, I have listed 10 different advantages if you are going for vertical farming. And in order to summarize, I can say you can generate more product in less time because monitoring is better, and everything you can check that whether a crop is healthy or not. Based upon that, you can take actions, right? Preventive actions or detection approach or any approach to increase the productivity. Similarly, light is well maintained. You can give optimized light output to these plants. You can see that the water is not going to waste much, right? That is conserving water. Another is you can also engage your local people into work. Like government is also giving initiative, right? You give you give the works to your local people, right? If you go for vertical farming, you require some people to be engaged in the agriculture work. So you can also increase the jobs, and it is going to impact our economy as well, right? Our economy can be increased if the number of people engaged in this work is going to be increased, right? And this is the picture you can see in the vertical farming, right? It is also given an example of soil-less farming also, right? See, the people can check the status of the crops, okay, in a very much better way in comparison to our horizontal farming. Now, the second technology I want to focus, that is called as artificial intelligence or machine learning. You know, ML is a subset of AI, or DL, deep learning is a subset of ML. And this technology, while these devices, IoT devices, are collecting the data, and they are going to analyze the data. What kind of analysis they can do? They can also give what is the production last year and what is the production now, and what is the difference, okay? And sometimes these drones and UAV can capture the pictures, and that picture can be analyzed in the real-time basis so that they can take actions. And classification of the crops, classification of the pest predators also you can do by the help of AI techniques. The third one is related to the big data, right? Like if you see the NRDC report says that they have interviewed with a cucumber farm, and that owner mentioned in this survey was carried out in America. So the owner of this cucumber farm, he mentioned that fewer than half, means out of 100, it is less than 50% of the vegetable what he grows actually leave his farm. So if it is 100, then 50, less than 50, it is going outside his farm. Out of which 75% of the cucumber is culled before sale or edible. So you can see, due to excess, you can say chemicals, fertilizers, okay, a lot of things, the foods are not at all suitable after 2-3 days, right? Whatever food we are purchasing or vegetables we are purchasing, you also know that after 2-3 days they are not in a position of eating that particular vegetables, right? So for this also there is a very nice website you can visit, that is called as foris.io, right? They are collecting the data from various sources and they are suggesting various kind of suggestions. And similarly, the various you can say like tractors or you can say robots are engaged in the agriculture sector. They are also able to take these pictures of the crops, or they can also collect the data, okay, and they can give to the farmers as well as to the analyst, right? So this is the architecture of our for.is.io. They are collecting the data from various sensors, from the academic, through robots, through satellites, and they are applying the machine learning approaches, okay, in order to provide some kind of recommendations, right? So they are really doing a lot of things related to the agriculture sector. And you can see the concept of blockchain also they have used to perform the analysis or to make it more secure and to make it more transparent. The next one is biotech, because you know whenever we are going for any kind of vegetables or that, or whenever you are going for to take juice or something like that, there is some colors are permitted, right? Sometimes you can see people are using colors to see that a particular you can say prepared food is very nice, right? But whether that colors are permittable or not, such things will be decided here, right? Similarly, preservatives, or you can say nowadays cooked foods are also available, right? Half cooked fried or half fried foods are also available. Whether it is suitable or not, that for that biotechnology plays a very important role. So there is a gene editing technique that is called as CRISPR. Okay. So through these gene editing techniques, you can edit the genes, and you can see that how it is going to be not be damaged by the predators and pests, right? So sometimes if you modify the genes, they can fight with various kind of infections as well. Coming next to drones, you can see the statistics of the drones here. It is expected that drones are having a maximum revenue, or you can say economic impact by 2015, or if you see 2025. Drones plays a very important role in the agriculture sector, and most applications of the drones in the agriculture sector only. So prior to that, if you want to know whether a particular crop is healthy or not, you have to calculate one index that is called as normalized difference vegetation index, that is called as NDVI index. How we are going to calculate? Let us consider two different crop. First one is healthy, second one is stressed, right? So I'll tell you how to know that whether a particular crop is healthy or not. So for that, here we have taken two parameters. One is called as near infrared, another is called red light. Okay. So in order to make a particular crop healthy, okay, you can see that the crops near infrared should be increased and red light should be decreased. So for example, if you consider the first case, it is 50% for NIR, 8% for RED, red. So if you calculate this NDVI index, which is nothing but NIR minus NED, that is nothing but 0.5 minus 0.08. This 50% and 8% divided by 0.5 plus 0.08. So if you calculate it, you will get the NDVI index is 0.72. If the value is close to 1, then you can say that is healthy. If the value is close to -1, because its range is -1 to 1, so you can say that is a stressed vegetation reflectance. The next technique is nanotechnology. You know, nanosensors are also used to identify the humidity levels, diseases in the food crops, and sometimes in order to process the food, in order to save the foods in the warehouse, right? Nanotechnology plays a very important role. Coming to next technology, robot. So you can see robot can be used to plant the seeds in the agricultural land. Robots can also be used to pick some fruits from the agricultural land. Robot can also be used to spray the pesticides, right? A lot of works you can do through a smart robot. And there is a very famous robot that is called as Terra MEPP. It is a 65-pound robot. It is able to transmit the data in real-time basis. Also, this robot is also to use to draw, okay, or drive the 2 caterpillar tracks. So this is the construction of a robot. You can see earlier, like I told you in the very first lecture, the moving from machine camp to internet camp, or moving from internet camp towards the machine camp, right? Similarly, here you can see a tractor is without any, you can say, any sensors. Later, in order to make this device intelligent, we add some kind of feature like sensors, or you can say it is connected to the smartphones. It is also connected to the with the mobile phones, through, let's say, any wireless medium or wired medium. Now you can see a lot of things you can do with this tractor. Like I told you, real-time data, or you can go for getting some of the updated information, taking the pictures in that agricultural land. That can be done by the through help of a smart robots or smart, you can say, smart tractors. Next, if you compare the performance of robot with the human operator, earlier days the robots are very costly, but nowadays the robots are not that much costly, right? And if you calculate the per hour cost of the robot and operator, if you see prior to 2015, the robot is more costly than a human being, right? But nowadays you can see the cost of the robot is very less in comparison to the amount that is you are going to give to a human operator. So in that context, robot is performing better, and it also required in the agriculture land. So obviously IoT is required. We have already discussed this thing. Coming to the last one, that is called as blockchain. Okay, you know, in the blockchain, in the previous session, Professor Rao mentioned about the transparency you are going to get. You are going to get traceability also. You have also trust, because if something you are going to modify, you need the consensus of each and every one, right? So especially there is a very big scam, okay, or a fraud related to a specific type of fish that is called as tuna, right? So after that, the government also interested to how to avoid this kind of frauds. So for that, they are using smart techniques. So through this smart tag, you can inject some kind of a tag with, you can say, with the fish, so that by looking into this tag or by scanning this tag, the details of the fish is going to be collected. So from the fisherman boat to the market, everything will be there in that particular tag. So I'll show you a very small video of 1 minute so that you can see how this tagging is going to work in the fish farming. Just a minute, I'll show you this video. It will be more interesting.
Once a fish is caught, it is important to work quickly. First, net the fish and bring it to your work area. Wet your hands and handle the fish as little as possible, attempting not to remove too much of the slime layer that protects fish from bacterial infections. If you have them, use rubber-coated gloves when handling the fish. Once you have a fish ready to tag, lay the fish out and get an accurate measurement first. Pinch the tail before confirming your measurement. If you have a partner, have them record the length.
18 3/4.
18 3/4.
Next, you will need your tagging tool, which houses the tag. Insert the tag into the gauge of the tagging applicator. It is important to make sure that the barb sits in the notch of the needle. Once you have your tag ready, hold the fish securely while inserting the tag in the applicator at 45 degrees. You want the tool to be approximately 1 inch down from the first dorsal fin. Insert the tag 1 inch to 1.5 inches into the fish and turn the barb a quarter toward the dorsal fins. Gently slide the applicator off of the tag and pull on the tag to make sure that it is secure. The barb will catch on the dorsal spines extended under the skin and not be easily moved. After a fish is tagged, return it back to the water.
So smart tagging you can use not only for this fishermen to boat, you can also see the health status of these fish also through this smart tag. Similarly, these are the applications that are used, whether these applications are by some organization or industry, or by government organization, it doesn't matter. But farmers are getting a lot of things through these applications, right? Like they can chat with experts, they can see the video of the agriculture work, they will able to know the mandi price, and most of the applications are nowadays available in the local languages. So farmers can get the information in their local language because they are not comfortable in the English or any in our official language like our Hindi, right? So that such type of things you can get from these applications because they have the smartphones. They can install these smartphones to get the things. Now some of the use cases I will quickly tell because we have very limited time. So here I am showing you a weather station. This device is called as weather stations, through which you can get the data about the weather and you can send to the cloud. So this device provides such facility. And this all meteo or smart elements or these are some of the devices that is used in the agriculture sector, right? Agriculture land to collect the data and send to the cloud. There is another one that is, if you go for greenhouse automation, earlier farmers are doing it is manually. So if you do it manually, the temperature level, you can say, or lighting level, it is not optimum. But if you are using IoT devices, it is optimum, right? So for that, Green IQ is providing a lot of products, right? Products related to greenhouse automation, in which you can manage the irrigation and lighting system remotely. Not necessarily you will go for your agricultural land to monitor that. Similarly, here you can see I am showing you a device that is called as Arable or Semios. These are the Arables and Semios, two different devices. It is used to collect the data about crop farming, related to the crop health, whether they are getting optimal health or not, okay, or you can say the temperature, okay, as well as leaf water. These things status you can get by using these devices. Similarly, you can see here livestock monitoring. As I said, this animal is having a tag here, right? Okay, or you can say there is a chain kind of thing, right? That is there through which we can monitor the health of that particular animal. A detailed picture you can see here, like we are collecting a lot of things. We are collecting this data. We are sending to some devices like gateways and routers through the wireless and wired medium. And we are able to find the wireless pH level or temperature sensors through which we can collect the data as well. Now coming to the drones can also be used, like you can, if you go for various companies like SensorFly agriculture drone is used for this multispectral image analysis to estimate the health of the crops. Like Drone Seeds is also providing drones for planting the tree in a deforested area, because there are many areas are there. Like I told you, 15% of the land is not suitable for farming, right? So in that area, we'll apply drones. Okay, if it is a deforested area, we can plant the trees through these drones. And you can monitor everything, okay, through these dashboard. You can see the dashboard here. Yes, in a single dashboard, you can get a lot of things related to your agriculture land. What is the moisture level, whether any movement in your agricultural land or not, right? And farm logs and Cropio, they are providing such facilities. Now coming to the conclusion, we have discussed about some of the technologies. We have seen some of the problems related to IoT. We have also seen that some of the statistics given by agriculture IoT market, as well as by Gartner, as well as by Google Trends in the source perspective. So the ultimate objective is to increase the productivity without compromising the quality, right? So we have to see that how this IoT is going to helpful for our farmer, and how it is going to inform the farmers in the right time, so that they can improve little bit of their productivity. I'm not saying a drastic change in the productivity can be possible by the IoT, but if a little bit change also happen through these technologies, that will be really helpful for the farmer. And government is also taking a lot of initiatives through various technology to increase the productivity. And these are the some of the references you can go through, the disclaimer. Thank you everyone. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm ready to answer such questions.
Any questions? Any queries? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful knowledge session. I hope we have learned many things through practical aspects.
Yes. Good evening, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please tell me.
Sir, I just had a query regarding that farmers.
Yes,
they're using this IoT for like health monitoring of the cattle. So
yes.
Is it affordable for them? So like what would be the cost?
Exactly, that is a very good question. That's why I told you sometimes government should subsidize it, right? Like government is going to give 50%, farmers is going to afford the rest 50%. Otherwise, it is not possible for the farmer to purchase this device. That's why I told you also, whenever you are developing a product, you have to see that whether farmers can purchase it or not. right? If farmer is not going to purchase it, there is no use of that particular product. So government and both farmer, they need to take initiative for such products.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank
Any
you,
other
sir.
question?